I placed the letter in my pocket and seated myself in the chair to the right of the fireplace. My glance fell on an issue of the Times dated Monday, 26 September 1927. Births, marriages, deaths. The marriage was conducted by the Reverend Canon Sampson, M.A. Funeral service at Stutney Church, 2 o'clock Wednesday. The personal column. Ever beloved, will it be much longer? Dear heart, Kenya Colony, Mr. Chartered Surveyor returns to Nairobi October 5th. Until then, communications regarding reports on properties in the colony should be addressed to him, care of advertisement for writing lessons, blue Persian cats for sale, girl, 17, refined of gentle birth, seeks opening, lady by birth, 30, desires post abroad. Sports news. West Hill beat Burhill. West Ham win. The victory of Jean Tunney. A letter from Zafrullah Khan in which he refutes the views of Sir Chimnalal Setabad about the disputes between the Muslims and the Hindus in the Punjab. A letter saying that jazz is a cheerful music in a sunless world. 2 elephants from Rangoon arrived at the zoo yesterday, having walked from Tilbury Docks. Cattle breeder was attacked by a bull on his farm and gored to death. A man who stole 4 bananas was sentenced to 3 years penal servitude. Imperial and foreign news. The new offer from Moscow to settle the Russian debt to France. Floods in Switzerland. The discovery. Captain Scott's ship has returned from the southern seas. Khair Stresemann gave a speech on disarmament in Geneva on Saturday. Khair Stresemann also made a statement to the Matin paper in which he supported President von Hindenburg's speech at Tannenberg, in which he denied that Germany was responsible for the outbreak of the war. The leading article was about the Treaty of Jeddah, which was signed by Sir Gilbert Clayton on behalf of Great Britain and Prince Faisal Abdul Aziz Al Saud on behalf of his father, the King of the Hijaz and of the Najd and its dependencies. Weather forecast for England and Wales. Winds mainly between west and northwest, is strong at times in exposed places. Considerable fair intervals, but a few thundery showers and perhaps occasional local rains. It appeared to be the only newspaper. Was there any significance in its presence here, or was it here by mere chance? Opening a notebook, I read on the first page, My Life Story by Mustafa Said. On the next page was the dedication to those who see with one eye, speak with one tongue, and see things as either black or white, either Eastern or Western. I flicked through the rest of the pages but found nothing, not a single sentence, not a single word. Did this too have some significance, or was it mere chance? I opened a file and found numerous papers, sketches, and drawings. He was, it seems, trying his hand at writing and drawing. The drawings were good and revealed real talent. Colored drawings of English country scenes in which oak trees, rivers, swans were repeated, pencil sketches of scenes and people from our village. Despite everything, I cannot but admit his great skill. Bakri, Mahjoub, my grandfather, Wad Rayaz, Husna, my uncle Abdul Karim, and others, their faces looked out at me with the penetrating expressions I had long been aware of, but which I had been incapable of defining. Mustafa Said had drawn them with a clarity of vision and sympathy that approached love. Wad Rayaz's face was more in evidence than the others. 8 drawings of him in different poses. Why was he so interested in Wad Rayaz? I looked at some scraps of paper and read, We teach people in order to open up their minds and release their captive powers, but we cannot predict the result. Freedom. We free their minds from superstition. We give the people the keys of the future to act therein as they wish. I left London with Europe having begun to mobilize her armies once again for even more ferocious violence. It was not hatred. It It was a love unable to express itself. I loved her in a twisted manner. She too. The roofs of the houses are all wetted by the drizzle. The cows and sheep in the fields are like white and black pebbles. The light rain of June. Allow me, madame. These train journeys are boring. How do you do? From Birmingham to London. How do you describe the scenery? Trees and grass, haystacks in the middle of the fields. The trees and the grass are the same everywhere. A book by Neo Marsh. She hesitated. She didn't say yes or no. Was he describing real events or plotting out a story? My lord, I must object to the prosecution's resorting to a clear dialectical trick in that he wants to establish the accused's responsibility for events for which he was not responsible, basing his arguments upon something that did in fact happen. He then confirms his assumption of what happened on the basis of his previous assumptions. The accused admits he killed his wife, but this does not make him responsible for all the other incidents of suicide by women in the British Isles during the past 10 years. He who breeds good for him are hatched the young birds that fly with happiness. He who breeds evil, for him there grows a tree whose thorns are sorrow and whose fruit is regret. May God have mercy on someone who has turned a blind eye to error, has indulged in the outward aspects of things. I found as well a poem in his handwriting. It seems he was also dabbling in poetry, and it was clear from all the crossings out and changes that he too was somewhat awed when face to face with art. Here it is. The sighs of the unhappy in the breast do groan. The vicissitudes of time by silent tears are shown, and love and buried hate the winds away have blown. Deep silence has embraced the vestiges of prayer, of moans and supplications and cries of woeful care, and dust and smoke the traveler's path ensnare. Some souls content, others in dismay, brows submissive, others. Mustafa Said had no doubt spent long hours searching for the right word to fit the meter. The problem intrigued me, and I gave it several minutes' thought. I did not, though, waste too much time on it, for in any case it is a very poor poem that relies on antitheses and comparisons. It has no true feeling, no genuine emotion. This line of mine is no worse than the rest, so I crossed out the last line of the poem and wrote in its place, "Heads humbly bent and faces turned away." I went on rummaging among the papers and found some scraps on which had been written such phrases as 3 barrels of oil. The committee will discuss the question of strengthening the base for the pump. And the surplus cement can be sold immediately. Then I found this passage. It was inevitable that my star of destiny should come into collision with hers, and that I should spend years in prison and yet more years roaming the face of the earth, chasing her phantom and being chased by it. The sensation that, in an instant outside the bounds of time, I have bettered the goddess of death and gazed out upon hell from the aperture of her eyes. It's a feeling no man can imagine. The taste of that night stays on in my mouth, preventing me from savoring anything else.